Howdy folks, it's Adriel, the Hunting Gear Guy. A while back, someone asked me to make a tier list of the semi-automatic black rifles you can get in Canada. I had one for the longest time on the website. Liberals started banning guns, didn't really feel like being the list for them to ban, but they recently said they're not going to ban anything or put in any new gun laws anytime soon. So let's make a list. So what do we start right at the top? S tier. Start with the good stuff first. Long story short, it's all going to cost you. That's the just throw money at it. Yeah, you get a good rifle out of it. So we can throw the B&T APC 223 up there. Great rifle, takes 223. They also have them in 9mm, which are really good as well. And it's just $4 or $5 grand to get one of those. So ouch, kind of hurts on the price point. I also throw the CZ Bren 2 MS up there. Fantastic trigger. Love the bolt on it. Fantastic rifle. And just for shits and giggles, let's throw a weird one up there. M1 Garand. You can get a rebuild M1 Garand in 308 or 30-06. They're semi-automatic. They have 8 rounds instead of 5, or 10 if you got a pistol mag. So they're a pretty good option as well. Getting over into A tier, I think the Type 81, purely based on reliability. It's a very reliable rifle, but it comes with some big downsides. It's only got 5-round mags. They're kind of a pain in the ass to get sights on. You can get an optic or a red dot on with a side pin mount, but it's going to sit a little bit high. It's not really built for it, but you can. You can totally do it. Next after that, a little bit of German space magic. How about the HK SL8? This is, again, pretty decent rifle, but it comes with its own quirks, and some of those quirks are kind of a pain in the ass. Reliability, though, is going to be excellent, and I think that's one of the more important things here. Speaking of reliability, how about just the AK action? A Valmet M78. Problem with this one, again, you're going to be throwing a pile of money at one of these things to get one, and same problems as the other ones. Getting sights on it is going to be a pain in the ass, and so on and so forth. Next after that, and it's going to be hard to find, is the Robinson M96 expeditionary rifles. These are kind of interesting rifles from... They were before the XCR. Robinson were making them. They're a bit weird looking, but a lot of modern features on them that I think a lot of people will like. After that, let's go look at the X95. We're getting into some bullpups now. Now, one of the advantages with the X95, reliability, super solid. Ergonomics, pretty good in it. Still a bullpup, so I don't really like it for that reason, but lots of people have really good luck with these things. And if you just wanted to buy once, cry once, and get a bullpup, the X95 is it. For a little bit less, the IWI Tavor is also good. Just got a little bit of, like, a couple of weird things on it that aren't quite as good as the X95, but for the price point, maybe you want something a little bit cheaper anyways. Heading into B tier, SKS. Yeah, reliable, but even more a pain in the butt to get sights on, like an optic or something like that. Their price point is getting up there, but it's still the cheapest option that you can get here, so you got to take that into consideration. One of the other rifles in here, and the only reason I've got it in B tier is I just don't know that much about it. I think it might actually be better, is the R18 Mark II. This is the Sterling Arms rifle. I hear they're good, and I think that this rifle's got a lot of promise. I just haven't seen a lot of them, but I'm thinking that this is going to be one of the better rifles from a Canadian manufacturer. From not a Canadian manufacturer, the Type 97 Gen 3. The Gen 1s, some of them would have be picky about magazines. The Gen 3s I saw were all really, really good. They got a flat top, so you can mount optics on it. The safety on it sucks, so that's something to take into consideration. Another rifle that I just don't see a lot of, so I'm not quite sure how to rate it, would be the Benelli MR1. Benelli makes great shotguns. I'm not so sure about the rifles, especially the taking a shotgun gas system and throwing it onto a rifle, but some people like it. After that, the Armalite AR-180B. Some people might be asking, why isn't that like A tier or S tier? They're kind of hard to get sights on. The lower is polymer, and that front hinge point is a breaking point on them, and the fore end is kind of kind of poo. So yes, they are the original 180. Yes, they're going to be reliable until you break a polymer part, because they were intended to be like a cheap version. The AR 180 was supposed to be a cheap version of the AR 15, stamped shield construction, that kind of thing. Stamped steel construction. The AR 180B was supposed to be even cheaper, plastic bought lower, and all that kind of stuff. So definitely getting into some considerations there. Next, we have the SU-16. Some of these, I hear that the receiver cracking issue has been solved. If so, fantastic. But they're still a light-duty firearm. They're not really great for competition and that kind of thing. They got a light barrel, light duty construction. Fantastic if you just want to use it for like low volume, like coyote hunting, that kind of thing. Very light on the shoulder, very easy to take out. Next up on B tier is the RDB, Kel-Tec. I think the Kel-Tec RDB has some good pros to it. Takes regular mags. The ergonomics on it are a little bit goofy. The bolt drop buttons are a little bit goofy, but they're okay. The firing pins on them can erode or break and cause slam fires and double fires and that kind of thing. So that's the only reason I've got it in B tier instead of a higher tier. Another one in B tier is the SG 542 or 540. If you would have asked me this before, I would have had it maybe in a higher tier, but this last import of 542s just seems to be not hitting right. So I can't give it any higher than that, and it probably deserves, in fact, a little bit lower than that. Finally, rounding out the list on B tier, the Lockhart Raven. I think this one's going to be better. The only reason I have it on here right now is their Gen 1 bolts couldn't last. They were a little bit too skeletonized, but Gen 2 BCGs look like they're a little bit more robust. I'm looking to that one to climb up to A or even S tier at some point. It's got some big advantages, like being able to use like a gas tube barrel on it. Really, really nice, and I'd really like to get into that. Let's look at some C tier rifles. The Crusader Templar is Gen 1 was quite heavy. Gen 2 has been released just recently here. It's quite a bit lighter. I haven't seen any, so I'm going to go with the C until I've seen one kind of on the range or in a 3-gun match. That's typically where I get the best data, is from 3-gun matches. That's where I see which rifles run and which rifles fail. And that Templar, I didn't really see a lot of them failing, but it was really heavy for what you got out of it. The MCR I have to put in C tier as well. It was the first kind of improvement on the WK-180. It had steel side panels, that kind of thing. That's what I use for 3-gun right now. It's not a perfect rifle, though, and there's lots of problems that I run into while running that rifle. And the last one for C tier would be a WK-180 Gen 2. The Gen 2s use a side charging handle, finally getting away from that charging handle issue that they had with Gen 1, where there was lots of breakages with them. And that's finally been resolved. For D tier, I got a couple of special ones in here. The M&M M10X, nothing but problems with them, and same thing. They keep adding generations on, but I haven't been able to keep up to whether the latest generation is any good or not. All I know is that the previous generations were not. The BCL Siberian, I couldn't really get that one that I had to run very well. And but this is very inconsistent. Some of them seem to be working really good. Some of them seem to be not working really good. And then the WK-180 Gen 1 broke pistons fairly often and broke charging handles, depending on which version of the charging handle you got was on there. So long story short, pay more, get more on this, or some features are just kind of hard to get in a Canadian rifle right now. If I were to get a rifle for 3-gun today, I'd probably get that Bren 2 MS. That's the one with the most promise. For a little bit less, if I didn't want to spend that amount of money, an X95 would be a really solid option. Or potentially the R18 Mark II would be a good option. If you're a lefty, the RDB seems to be pretty good. Or the Lockhart Raven 223 is a good potential coming up as well. So a couple of different options for you out there. Hopefully this was helpful. I've got reviews for many of these rifles on my website if you check it out, and hope you found this helpful. Thanks.